Welcome in everyone to another episode of Bruins Tape to Tape. We are recording a special update segment on our Bruins prospects, and I am joined today by friend of the podcast, Maribeth, who has been right on top of the Bruins prospects and the Providence Bruins. And I don't know how you're paying attention to all of this, my friend, with all of the hockey and all of the other activities and your job at the same time. But we thank you for joining us, and we thank you for all of the insight and information I know that we're going to get in this segment. So welcome in and Happy New Year to you.
Thanks so much, Maria. Happy New Year. As you know, I'm always happy to come in and talk about the prospects, our developing players. Our pipeline's really fun right now. These kids are doing some fun things, and it makes it easy to follow them. They bring me such joy right now.
And we are also being joined, as many of you may soon figure out as this recording progresses. My partner in crime is not able to be with me in full for this episode, as she is one busy hockey mom these days, but she is popping in to give us her insight, as she was able to recently attend a Providence Bruins game. And so we're going to welcome in Caroline with a K. Hello, my friend.
Hey, Maribeth. Hey, Maria. How are you?
Caroline?
Have you recovered from the weekend yet?
No, I feel like death.
Shit.
Oh my God. There was 4 hockey games, an AHL hockey game, knee hockey until the cows came home. There was so much hockey coming out of my ears.
Sounds like
And
a
I watched the
typical...
hockey game. I watched the Bruins play because I was in New England, so I got to watch it kind of in the future on cable instead of on my phone.
So we'll be curious to get your thoughts and have our Bruins prospect expert here weigh in on, what things that you picked up on or players that you noticed that resonated with you, either, good, bad, or indifferent at this point in time.
Yeah.
So tell us about your experience at the Providence Bruins game.
Yeah, first of all, it's a super cute arena. I mean, it's really lovely. It looked great. I mean, I was expecting something maybe a little bit more run down because I used to go to Syracuse Crunch games. I used to go to Portland Pirates games, and those facilities weren't always very lovely.
Right.
Wonderful place. Highly recommend going out and seeing the P Bruins play. I felt like I was going in a little blind, even though we have Maribeth as our expert sharing information constantly in the Discord. But
I know she's constantly keeping us updated. Yeah, which is awesome.
I kind of, in my mind, a little bit free up some of that space in my memory and allow her to post things and put things there, and then I go and I just look up, but I don't keep everything in mind. And so I don't know if it was a good or bad thing that I just kind of showed up and I was like, well, I remember the names of these guys. Let's see who shows me what they've got. So maybe that was a good thing, because not going in and knowing what to expect necessarily from these guys. I will say that the most noticeable players, some of them surprising, some not surprising. I will say for me, this was the second night, by the way, of their matchup against the Cleveland Monsters. Number one player for me, Luke Kavalin, the goaltender. I was just blown away.
Yeah.
He was absolutely fantastic. He made some really critical saves. There was tons of traffic, a lot of mess right in front of him, and he just had that puck the whole time. The final score was 6-2, but that doesn't really explain just how hard he worked. I mean, he was just fantastic. The other players that we have talked about before, Frederic Brunet, he actually got the number 1 star last night. He opened up the scoring. He was everywhere. I really enjoyed watching him play. He was just everywhere he needed to be. It was exactly what you want to see in a player like that. He's just working his butt off, presumably every night. What I saw was what he usually does. But Farinacci, I noticed all the time. He was one that I picked up a lot. And then funny enough, as I was messaging with Maribeth during the game, like, who do you have questions about? Is there someone you want me to kind of get closer eyes on? And one of the names, of course, was Losh Mellis. You're a big fan of his, Maribeth, I remember. And I'm thinking, yeah, he's there. And then all of a sudden, the P Bruins were on a couple of penalty kills, and he was just all over in that kill, really, really making a big impact, because it was getting to the point where Cleveland kind of thought maybe they had a shot at coming back into the game, even though it was probably was never going to be a thing. And he was on a couple of those big penalty kills. So those were guys that I was definitely looking for, hoping to see. Blumel did end up having a goal in the second game, because the first game of the weekend that was his game. He was like all over the first game of the weekend. So I was like, well, I'm probably not going to see much of him because he did everything. But nope, he came in with the dagger right at the end there when Cleveland thought that they were going to come back. He said, nope, you're done. And so he cooked him there. Ones that maybe should have been a little bit more noticeable that weren't. Merkulov, okay. He was, I think the ship on that has sailed. I did look out for Matt Patra. He's noticeable in the sense that, he's still an incredible talent. Like, just because he hasn't made it in Boston is not reflective of his skills and ability. He was all over the place. He had some penalty minutes. There were so many roughing minors and a couple of 5-for-fightings. Like, something clearly happened in that game the night before. I don't know what happened. If our Boston Bruins had as many penalties as were issued in that game in Providence, we would see them losing 10-0. But they turned around, had a win, which was great. And then the other one that people were saying, like, hey, make sure you look for this guy. Oh, I didn't need to even look for him. Fabian Lysell.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand you, kid. I do not understand you. He was instantly noticeable. His speed, his footwork, his stick handling. Unreal. He undressed multiple opponents out there. But is he another one of those Patrick Browns that it just doesn't translate?
I mean, sadly, are there players?
I don't know.
There are players where they're suited for that level of play in the AHL, but they just can't seem to make the transition to the NHL caliber of play, where the speed, the physicality, the decision making needs to be at a higher level. And I'm just beginning to wonder if, he is one of those players that and there are players like that. Not everybody can make the NHL.
He was clearly better skill-wise than the opponents. And even, I would say, if you were just talking about the quick feet and the fancy stick work, he was better than even his teammates. So why it doesn't translate, who knows?
So I actually might know.
You know?
Okay. Oh,
you know?
I have some thoughts.
Okay. You have some tea?
First of all, it's his birthday today. He's 23 today. He is an RFA at the end of this season. So he's in a contract adjacent year. He does need to get something signed, but obviously we can match anything that anybody were to offer. So he's still going to be ours, but it is kind of a contract year. The thing is with him, though, second in points on the team right now behind Patrick Brown, who is an AHLer. Fifth in goals, second in assists.
Yeah.
For the last few years, he has been pretty stagnant. He's been there. He's been doing all right. They've been very consistent, but we haven't seen any growth till this year. This year, he found his game. So if we look at what he did this season, last season, he played 52 games, 11 goals, 25 points. This season, he's only at 31 games. He's already at 12 goals and 34 points.
Yeah.
There's a big difference. Now, it's a better team. Is it a better team because he's better? In part.
Yeah.
But this year, all of a sudden, especially over the last month, he's just found his groove.
Yeah.
Now, is that going to translate? Maybe, because he's been so consistent in the AHL until this year when he bumped it up a notch. So that's why I'm wondering if he's starting to make this transition, that he can give the NHL another go.
Maybe a late bloomer, to so to speak. I mean, I hate using that kind of cheesy terminology, but
Well, I mean, he is just 23, so
It could be. I mean, I was actually shocked because I was going in. Look, I'm not going to lie, kind of expecting a dud, right? We've talked about it on the pod where it's like, okay, if you've been selected by the Boston Bruins to be kind of a, presumed future phenom, right? They do that. They have them.
yep.
That's happened many a time. And I kind of always thought that it was him, but we saw what happened when it just didn't pan out with Jack Studnicka. He was one of them before too.
Who just got put on waivers again today.
oh, no kidding.
No.
That's too bad. And I think, part of his issue is also just his development getting interrupted with COVID and blah, blah, blah. But then again, DiPietro was too. And look at him. He's probably going to be second string goalie for the Boston Bruins next season. So I was going in fully expecting to be about as disappointed in Lysell as I have been every time that he has been called up. Granted, it's only been 2 or 3 times. He made me pause and go, wow, who is that? And then I saw the number and I was like, no way.
It's not even just the call-ups. He was given opportunities in preseason where, the coaching staff, he and along with others saying there are spots. There are spots available on this team for you all to fight for, and it just didn't seem to translate into taking advantage of the opportunity that was being provided to you. Now, again, it could be maturity level. Who knows? It could be the system that was totally different system. Now we know how, complicated and hard it is to play the structure that they're trying to implement here for the new and improved Boston Bruins, but who knows?
Yeah. Maybe for him, it's all just about timing, and it's just been bad timing up until this point. And
he may not be ready, and he may not have been ready earlier in the season.
Right.
As I said, over the last month or so, it's especially the whole season. I think he's been pretty good, but over the last month, there's been a decided uptick.
Yeah.
So maybe maybe this is time. If anybody has not seen him play recently, there was he had a beautiful goal on Saturday, and there's a highlight reel online you can find, a really beauty wraparound goal.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
and that really shows off his stick handling. It was good.
I was just taken very much so by surprise on that front, but tons of fun to watch these guys. I mean, again, if you're someone who's newer to hockey, going to see them right now, it's just a lot of fun. It's a heck of a lot less stressful and a lot easier on the wallet than going up.
Oh my God, yeah.
I think we paid $24 a ticket.
There's not a bad seat in that house.
No, there's not. So the future looks bright. I don't know when we're going to see these guys because there's a lot of competition on the other side of the pipeline, which I know, Maribeth, you're going to talk about as soon as I bounce out of here. But there's going to be a ton of competition because if you got all these kids in the NCAA and you got them in juniors, I think the Bruins are actually in a good place for once outside of goaltending and the future of the organization.
Yeah, I think it's important to note, what people I don't think always remember, the AHL is a development league. It's not the be all end all. Calder Cups are not what we work for. However, right now, the Providence Bruins are tied for second in the AHL. They are, and actually they're tied for second with Wilkes-Barre Scranton, who's got a game on hand with them. So they're tied for first in the division with Wilkes-Barre Scranton. Yeah. They're third in power play. They're fourth in the PK. And this is in the league. So it's not the be all end all, but what it tells me is that something's working in our development pipeline down there right now.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. But hopefully we don't have to see them. But if we have to see them, I think we'll be okay.
Well, at some point, we need to see some of these guys at the big boy club just to see where we're going with the future. If you're retooling, rebuilding, right? I
Yeah,
would imagine it needs to include some of these players that we're going to discuss here tonight and
yeah,
the impact that they can potentially have for the future of the Boston Bruins.
absolutely. All right.
Absolutely.
I'm going to leave you ladies to it. Have fun.
Thank you for the insight, for the intel.
Hey, nice to see you. I'm glad you had fun
Yeah.
So
yesterday.
much fun. It was a good time.
Well, get some rest. Ciao.
Hey Bruins fans, love the pod? Well, here's an opportunity to join the team. Become a friend of the pod on Patreon and unlock more Bruins content, merch perks, and the community we've built with diehard fans like you. For just $3 a month, join Gallery of the Gods. Get ad-free episodes, sticker swag, and a discount in the merch shop. Or go full legend with the black and gold tier. Bonus content, virtual watch parties, more swag, and full access to our Substack. No matter the tier, you're in the room with us. Tap the link in the show notes and take your spot on the bench.
Okay, Maribeth. So now we're going to get down to the nitty gritty of taking a deep dive into what is going on with our Bruins prospects. We'll start at the AHL level. That was a good segue in with Caroline's thoughts on the games that she saw. So, in terms of your vantage point on what's happening with the Providence Bruins and the growth and development of prospects, names that people have on the tips of their tongues, and
Hmm.
maybe names of some players who, I didn't hear that name before. Tell me about him.
So the big one for me right now, my favorite player on the P Bruins, Frederick Bernay. But he
Okay.
has been. You guys have heard me talk about him before.
Yes.
I've loved him for the last couple of years. I think it's his time. I've actually been kind of surprised when we had to bring up a couple of defense players that it hasn't been him.
Hmm.
But I think there's some strategy to that. He just got named to the AHL All Stars, as did Patrick Brown, who's our captain, and Patrick's actually going to be captain of the AHL All Stars,
Oh,
and
cool.
yeah, which is really cool. And I'll tell you, Patrick Brown, we've talked about him before. I think he's AHL career player, but my gosh, is he amazing. He's number one on the team down there. It doesn't for him, it hasn't translated up here, but geez, when you see him down there, he's a rock star. Love him. Anyway, so Frederick Bernay, though, to me, he is somebody who's going to come up. My thoughts are part of the strategy is they're going to bring him up when he's going to stay.
Okay.
I don't think he is somebody that's coming up and going back and coming back. I'd love to see him get his chance, but I just keep getting this sense that when we see him in Boston, he's here in Boston. Now, I do think we just brought up another defenseman. We'll get into that.
Yes.
But I think that's part of the reason Bernay didn't come up is the All Stars. So, again, it's not the be all end all, but that experience of playing on a winning team, of getting those minutes, and of doing the All Star thing with the AHL, that's invaluable experience for a guy who's going to come up in the big leagues.
What's
Um,
how old is he, Maribeth?
so he is, I think he's 22, 23 now, somewhere around there. I actually don't have his age down here. A couple of them I do. Well, this would have been his first year. He wasn't at development camp over the last couple of years. So he was at rookie camp, but not at development camp. So he's kind of aged out of that system for the first time. This season so far, he's got 35 games, 6 goals, 11 assists, and 17 points. Not bad for a defense guy.
No, and he's got a pretty good plus minus too, which that still means something to me, right?
Yep, he's got a 15 plus minus, and he also has 29 penalty minutes. On the team, though, and again, this is significant because he's a defense player. 7th in points, 6th in goals, and 6th in assists. So, you're not expecting the same points from defense that you are from those forwards, but he's doing great. He is a really hard worker. He is in the right place at the right time. He's physical, by the Pims, creates opportunity, and he's a two-way player. So he's not going to be one of those stay-at-home defense players. He is a two-way player.
And the Bruins have had their issues this year with
He's absolutely,
the defense has been good. The problem is,
yeah.
their point contribution hasn't been what we've needed it to be, and maybe what's been expected.
Yeah, so I love to see this about him. He's by far the best D-man in Providence right now.
Cool.
So he, for me, is my kind of star of the game, as it were. So I'm loving him. Loving Dan's Lush Mellis. Loved him. I loved him during the camps. Loving him now. He is an Olympian.
Oh, that's right.
He was named to
Yep.
Team Latvia. Yep, named to Team Latvia. But what's amazing is for the AHL, he's a rookie.
Whoa.
This is his first year in the AHL, right? I know. It surprised me because I feel like we've been talking about him for a while, but we really haven't.
Well, I liked what I saw from him in preseason, and I was kind of rooting for him to get a legit, opportunity to be up with the big boys. But yeah, I like his game, and I agree with you. He stood out to me. To me, people that stand out are the guys that I see like working hard every shift. Every shift.
Yeah. No, and that's who he is. And so last year he did come up at the end of his UMass season. So he played 6 games and did the Calder Cup. So he does have a little bit of that experience. He's played, so he's got a different kind of experience because he played that professional juniors in Latvia. He actually played for the Swedish Hockey League, though. So he grew up in Latvia, but he played with the Swedish Hockey League professionally. He competed at the Worlds, not the World Juniors, 23, 24, and 25. Turns 22 this week.
Wow.
He's ahead of Patra for points. We're going to talk about Patra. He's got a really smart game. He creates some chances, and he's part of the PK team. So, and obviously we've got a really strong PK team. So he's in there. I think his experience on the world stage is part of what's making him successful right now as an AHL player. And I do think that gives him the opportunity to move up to Boston sooner rather than later because he's got this experience. He's not going to come in. He's already been playing with men. And that's something I think we have to keep in mind as kids are developing. They're coming up from juniors. They're playing with young men. They're playing with boys. They come up to the AHL. There's a wide variety of ages in there. So they're playing with some older players like Patrick Brown or some really young guys in there. NCAA, mostly college kids, but a lot of them trend a little bit older because they might have been working on their development in the development teams or whatever before they came to college. So he's got that experience. So I think we may see him sooner rather than later.
I'm just thinking to myself too, if he has an opportunity to really shine in the Olympics at some point, do you think that there's any potential of seeing him during this current season?
Well, I think there's always a potential. Again, if we don't, it's not a reflection on him.
Right.
It's more age and the fact that this is really his first year with us. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. He's in a position to do it. What I don't know about him is if he is able to transition from center to wing. He is a center. He's a natural center. And there are players who really comfortably can transfer between wing and center. And there's some who don't. And that I don't know about him.
And yeah, and again, this is just a pet peeve, and I know we've had conversations about this before where the Bruins try to get players to play an alternative position than what they're normally accustomed to, and we see the struggles of that, to which you say, why are you doing this? Why are you trying to put this person at a wing when they're a natural center because you have an overabundance of centers or a right wing or a left wing or whatever it is.
Or whatever it is. Yeah. So I think so I do that. So that's the one thing I don't know about him. So we'll sort of see what happens with that. Now, speaking of wings, we've got Maciej Blumel, and I know I'm butchering his first name, but I've got his last name down, who is right wing. He is on a 1-year contract that expires this year. So we got to figure out what happens with him. So for him, he played a couple of games NHL. I don't know if you know Blumel's story and how he came to us.
No.
So he was a free agent. Pasta gave him a call. He's a Czech player.
Oh,
Pasta said, "We'd love to have you." He was looking between us and the Penguins, and Pasta was like, "They're both good organizations, but
but
come on
I'm
over."
here. Come here. I'm here.
So I do think that Czech connection is
Okay.
important. I mean, perhaps he's an emotional support Czech for Pasta.
Yeah.
So I do think that we have Pasternak to thank you for that. So he was at Dallas, was not re-signed. We've got him on a 1-year contract. He was out, if you remember, he came up, played a couple games with us
Yes.
up in Boston, and then he was injured. So he's just back recently, back playing with Providence. Now he's got 21 games with Providence, 4 games with us this season. In Providence, he's got 6 goals, 13 assists, 19 points, and is a +5 right now. But he's 25, so his game is a little bit more developed and a little bit more mature than some of the people we've been talking about. All the everything I've heard about him, Dallas fans thought he was ready.
Okay.
They thought he was NHL ready. And from what I've seen from his play since he's been back from injury, I think he's NHL ready.
Interesting.
So he's one that we want to keep an eye on coming up. Again, covering for injuries, maybe. Plugging in somewhere, maybe. But he's one that I think we're going to see sooner rather than later as well. I think he's, right up there.
Cool.
Now, let's talk about Maddie Patra, shall we?
Yeah, Maddie.
I know. I feel that that's my face too, Maria.
I just don't even have the words. I had been saying for quite some time that he needed to develop some maturity to his game. He definitely needed to develop more strength to his game, because in seeing him with the Bruins, and it wasn't a small sample size, very easily knocked off the puck, and a definite propensity for skating with his head down, which nothing good is going to come of that. I think most of the injuries that he sustained were a result of going in offensively with his head down.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Now, he is a two-way center. He's not looking as good this season as he did last season. He's off his pace from last year. Last year, he only played 40 games because he had an injury, and he's at 35 games already this year. Last year, he was at 17 goals. This year, he's at 6. 24 assists last year, 15 this year. Again, but it's only 5 games. That's a pretty big drop-off to me. He's still fun to watch. He's really fast.
He is, yes, he's really fast.
He's got a really good, and he's got a great hockey sense. He moves great in a crowd. Like if you watch him, he's just weaving in and out of there. But there's a ton of competition where he is, and I'm not sure we have room for him. Just on the Providence Bruins roster, he's competing against Lashmelis.
And he's behind him on the depth, scoring and the depth chart, so to speak. Do you think it was a mistake? And again, we can Monday morning quarterback, and hindsight's 2020. When they first brought him in from juniors, and all that conversation about how many games he could or couldn't play before they could send him, and I just wonder now if they were too aggressive in wanting him to be on the big boy club, whether it might not have benefited him more to just, well, I guess they couldn't send him to Providence, but
I think about that too. The fact is, though, particularly when they first brought him up, he did look really good at first.
I know he did.
And so I think based on that information, it didn't feel like a bad decision at the time. So I'm not really sure, but the fact is he is good. I'm not seeing him developing right now. I'm not sure what his ceiling is, but I'm also not sure we have room. We've got other guys who are beating him out for his job right now. Interesting, this week he got a new agent.
Well, he's one of the names, that was brought up in recent trade rumors, where the Bruins were linked to potentially being in on Rasmus Anderson. And one of the, again, I don't know who's sourcing this stuff, but one of the potential scenarios was Mason Lohrei, Matt Patra, and perhaps a draft pick going to Calgary For Rasmus Anderson, however, in reading things online, it didn't sound like Rasmus Anderson would have been interested in signing an extension with the Boston Bruins. Then, therefore, why would you give these guys up if you're not? We don't need rentals right now, but just the fact that Poitras's name was part of that rumor, I'm just wondering how the organization is feeling on the stability of maintaining this player in the organization moving forward.
Well, we have to remember too, his entry level contract expires this year, so he's an RFA this year. Now, my guess is they'll re-sign him. There's not really a reason not to at this point. It's still going to be short money. They're not going to be giving him a bag of money. So
Yeah.
so my guess is that they will re-sign him, but I think that also plays into some of the trade rumors, the fact that his ELC expires.
Okay.
So I think that's so those are the kinds of things you want to keep in mind. Now, the other player I really want to talk about this from the Providence Bruins is Georgie.
Georgie, poor G. Georgie.
So our good friend Georgie Merkulov.
Merkelov, yeah. Again, another guy who's, we've seen snippets of him.
We have. He's been back and forth between Providence and Bruins over quite a few seasons. His contract expires at the end of this year, and he'll be a UFA. Okay. So it means that we basically have a chance of losing him regardless. Now, the thing is with Merkulov, he is center and left wing, so he is one of those players that can slot it in either place. So that, and he's known for that. This season, he's at 34 games, 13 goals, 15 assists, 28 points. So, I mean, he's not a slouch. But last season, 59 games, 15 goals, 39 assists. He was at 54 points last year. He did do the NHL this year, 1 game. Last year he did 6 games, kind of nothing on either one. But the thing was, when we brought him up this year, we brought him up to play right wing, but he's a left shot. Is that giving the guy a chance? It's not. It's just putting in a winger. But you can't just plug in a winger anywhere.
No, I know. This is one thing I think that the Bruins organization, to some degree, does a disservice to these players that they have drafted and are trying to develop.
Yeah.
If you're really intent on putting them in the best position to have success and to contribute to the team, why aren't you playing them in their natural positions?
Right. And so I sort of feel like for this year, for that 1 game, I mean, he did nothing. It was 1 game, but he was really just brought up to cover something. He wasn't really brought up for a chance, but we also didn't give him a chance. He's 25 years old, so he's kind of like right there in his hockey prime. He did have a 30-goal season, 23-24, but he just hasn't produced at that level since. So I don't know. Is he a career AHL player? Maybe. And maybe we just don't have room for him. So he's one that I like his play down in Providence, but I'm also, I'm looking at that as from a developing standpoint from players that we want to bring up. I'm not seeing a ton of upside there.
It sounds like you have others ahead of.
That's what it is.
On the depth chart ahead of Georgie, and can I put Matty Poitras in that category too?
Maybe. I hate to say it out loud.
You just did.
You said it out loud. I just agreed with you.
You're guilty by association.
Yes, that's exactly right. But I will put the blame squarely on you, Maria.
That's okay. I'll take it. I've got broad shoulders.
Yeah, but that's in Providence. We have to remember they are. In the NHL they are too, but really kind of to a lesser extent. They are interviewing for a job. They're trying out for something else. You are not in Providence to stay in Providence.
One would hope that's the thought.
And kind of once you're slotted in on the Boston Bruins, you have your spot. Now, it is yours to lose, but you're not every day trying out for that job. in the same manner you are in Providence. Your whole reason to be at the Maine Mariners, to be in the Providence, and is to get up to Boston. So anyway, I don't. That might just be where Georgie lives. We'll find out. And again, because it's the end of his contract this year, we may know sooner rather than later what the Bruins think of him. Now, I will say one thing that Don Sweeney is really good at is he is great at finding talent
Yes.
on other teams. He is
Yeah.
seeing these these unpolished players and bringing them in and putting them where they belong, and we're seeing really great things from them. I don't know that he is as good at drafting, although I'm starting to think maybe he is, and we just weren't giving him the credit due, because I'm starting to see some new things.
But is he? But is he? Again, I will agree with you on him being able to identify NHL talent and then making a deal that works for the Bruins. But when a James Higgins falls into your lap, it's. I mean, let's face facts. You and I could have drafted
Well,
him.
this is true.
Okay, Sweeney and Neely wouldn't have needed to be at that draft table, and we would have known to pick
Exactly.
James Higgins. So I still find that aspect of the organization and management in identifying young, unproven talent something that is in their wheelhouse that they do well.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with you. And so I want to give that props, because as we're talking about that, I want to move into some of our younger prospects, the ones who are juniors, NCAA. Some of
Mhm.
them are drafted, James Higgins. Some of them came
Yes.
over in a trade, which is that gift of Don Sweeney's, and that's Will Zellers. So let's talk a little bit. I'm going to lump those two together for a minute, because boy, oh boy, were the World Juniors fun.
Those guys they were on fuego. I mean,
Really
they
are.
were on, and Bruins fans should have felt really, really good. I think some of them felt a little too good because, bring them up now, bring them up now. No, no, no. It
Yeah,
doesn't
exactly.
work
No, no,
that
no.
way. Okay.
Yeah, no, they are. The thing is, and I mentioned this over at development camp. The two of them had so much fun together in dev camp, and they had a ball together at World Juniors. Will Zellers, the standout of the U.S. of Team USA, and the thing was, he was a late addition. He almost wasn't on the team. They were
Really?
finalizing. Yeah, he came in late, and he was kind of an after. We'll bring him in, sort of a thing.
Right, right,
He
right.
was the number one player for the U.S.
And good on him for taking advantage of that. I'm at the Worlds. I'm representing Team USA. I'm going to show the world and the team that picked me what I can do.
Yeah, he led the team in goals. He led the team in points. He led the teams in plus minus and in shots on goal. He was amazing. Had the game-winning goal for Team USA first 3 games of the tournament. He scored in 4 of the 5 U.S. games. Finished the tournament tied for 12th in points, and we got knocked out in the quarterfinals. But he was tied for second in goals for the tournament. I mean, that's amazing. We want a goal scorer. We want a kid like this, but he's also integral to the power play, and we know we need that. So Will
Oh, yes.
Zellers, he's smart, he's feisty, and he's just fun to watch. He's in the right place. He makes things happen, you know. So just he's and the thing is, he's also very well spoken and mature. And the same with Higgins. The two of them, when they're speaking to the press, they just have this composure about them. And to me, the maturity of them as young men speaks to their maturity on the ice. And that's the kind of stuff when I'm looking at these guys and saying to myself, are they ready? Do we want to see some more development from them? How are we feeling about them coming up? I'm seeing stuff like that. Yeah, they're getting ready to come up. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if he comes up to Boston this year, but he's just a freshman at North Dakota. I'm hoping he gets one more year to develop. But by the same token, as I sort of think about it, I'm like, based on what we saw on the world stage, how much more does the NCAA have to offer him?
Right.
So I do think, I mean, he's just, he's young. freshman. So I do think another year NCAA isn't going to hurt his development. So I'm sort of hoping he stays down there for another year. He is a left wing. So again, we want to kind of keep in mind too, what do we have? Where do we slot people in? And when do we want to bring them up? Some of it is, do you have a space now? If not, hey, develop yourself a little bit further in the NCAA.
Can he play center too? I'm just looking at a little, I did a little kind of AI tell me about the Bruins prospects today, and they have him listed as center and left wing. But is his preferred? Because Hagen's is definitely a center.
I think he can slot in as center, but left wing is his natural.
Okay.
Hagens is a center, but this season he's been playing on the wing with Teddy Stigers. So, yeah. So now speaking of Hagens, he's been a point per game player for the last 2 seasons, and he's exceeding that this year. He's the top player at BC. Just this week, he had a 3-point game against Providence. I mean, he's got a strong forecheck, plays an aggressive game, and he's got so much hockey sense. You watch him on the ice, he's just otherworldly. But the thing is, and again, I said this already, he has fun playing the game. And I look at when I think about that, I think of like Will Smith and Max Celebrini over at the Sharks. They're up and coming, but they're having a ball. And that's what you want to see. I mean, it's hockey. It's a game. Have some fun with it. One thing that I really thought was interesting about Hagens is at the World Juniors, he showed a lot of leadership. He was wearing the A, but he was collecting for a charity. So every time they won, he was making a contribution, was asking for people to make some. I'm sort of wondering if that's the Jesuit influence right there. But again, it speaks to a level of leadership and a level of maturity. There's just nothing not to like about James Hagens.
Is he a freshman as well?
He's a sophomore. So he actually had a great year last year, but he had a couple of guys ahead of him who went pro at the end of last year. So this was really his year to shine. So I'm guessing he's coming up at the end of the BC season.
I was just going to say that and I mean, typically BC makes deep runs into Hockey East and even the Frozen Four. So I was wondering if there is any possibility, depending on how that all plays out, whether we could see him this season.
Yeah, I think we're going to see him. Even if we don't see him at the end, we'll see him beginning of next. I think he's coming up.
Okay.
Now nobody's told me that, but just based on the trajectory of the guys he was playing with, on his trajectory, I think that's what's going to happen.
It makes sense.
Speaking of guys I don't want to come up yet.
Mm-hmm. Yet. Okay. All right. So we've got Will Zeller's on that list right now.
Yeah, I'd like him to, I mean, again, I wouldn't hate it if he came up.
No, but I understand right. He's a freshman. So yes, I'm with you on that. Let's not jump the shark on that one quite yet. Who was the other player?
So James Hagens, I'm ready to come up. I think he'd be fine. Dean Letourneau, though, he's also a BC.
Yes.
Now, we've talked about our friend Dean before.
We have, because he has been on people's radars, but not for the right reasons up until recently.
This year, he is knocking it out of the park. Second in points at BC to Hagens. First in goals. He's ahead of Hagens in goals this year. Fourth in assists. He's a point-a-game player. Last year, he played 36 games, 3 points.
Is he really 6 feet 7 inches?
I know.
I just looked huge. At this. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, he's got 20 points this season compared to his 3 of last year. I mean, he's amazing. Now, I have to say, when I did these, I was working on these the last couple of days, and everybody's played games and numbers are a little off, but they're close. But the thing is, I remember watching him right after he was drafted. And Caroline said to me, is he standing out on the ice? I'm like, well, he is because he's tall. Other than that, like, it wasn't like, I was like, oh, there he is. Like Hagens on the ice this year, I'm like, oh, there he is. Letourneau now was only because he was standing head and shoulders above everybody. Right. But this year, what a difference in watching him move around the ice. He dominates, he creates chances, and he's taking advantage of other chances that are provided. Like he's finding these open places. He's available. His skating is just so much different than it was last year. He's got this confidence, and he's had multiple multi-goal games this season. And the kid can snipe.
Good to
So I
hear.
wouldn't have guessed that last year.
Yeah, I felt kind of bad for him last season, just the criticism that was being levied at him.
Yeah. Well, the thing was, and I mentioned this in the Substack earlier in the year. I kind of did a quick little preview before World Juniors of some of our younger guys. The thing is with him is he came up a year early. He was at the ECHL level, and he wasn't meant to come up, but somebody from BC went pro, Will Smith, and his space opened up. So he ended up
Okay.
coming to BC a year earlier than he was expected to. And the fact is, that team was stacked last year. So there wasn't really space for him. There wasn't time
No,
for him, and
no,
he
you're
didn't get to develop.
absolutely right. That team was a wagon.
It's,
They were the Colorado Avalanche of hockey
that's exactly
teams in
right.
the NCAA. Yeah, yeah.
And a bunch of those guys ended up going pro. So what I hope for him, I feel like this is the freshman year, and we're seeing from him what we wanted to. I feel like if he could have another year, that would really help his development. Again, I think he's doing great things, but I'm really hoping they keep him down one more year.
Cool.
And then there's one other center I want to talk about, which is Kirill Yemelanov,
Oh,
who I'm sure I'm butchering his name. He was drafted by the Bruins this year, but he's playing juniors in Russia.
okay.
And he was an MHL All-Star. And I haven't seen him play because, Russian juniors, but the scouting reports sound like he is a two-way player with really great hockey sense. He's fourth in points for his team. He's second in goals. He's fourth in assists. But this season so far, he's done 37 games. He's got 19 goals, 17 assists,
Whoa.
36 points, and he's a plus 20.
Holy moly.
This is what I'm saying.
Jesus.
So I don't know when we would see him, or sort of, and it does get a little trickier when you're in some of these international leagues, but he's one that I want to bring up because that kid on a heater.
Wow. Yeah.
So
That's
he's
the
having
first
a great
I'm
year.
hearing of the name, but yeah, I'll take a point plus player per game any day of the
Right?
week, right?
Yeah, so he's somebody that I think is really great. We've got a couple of other guys these are the ones that I think are going to be talked about
Yes.
for this season.
Well, and they're quote unquote household names that I think, our listeners want to hear about. I know that, there are many who are anxious in seeing some of the names and players that you have mentioned sooner rather than later, and some who may be, a bit frustrated that things haven't worked out as had been expected on some
Yeah.
of these players. But, I think that could be said of any organization. I don't think this is an issue that is, a chronic, just exclusive to the Boston Bruins. It may be just, because there's been so much notoriety around past drafts that haven't gone well for the Boston
Yeah.
Bruins.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. So I think one of the things that's been a really fun mind exercise, but it will make your head explode, is okay, let's start looking at these guys. Where do they slot in?
Well, and
Who
again,
comes out? Who comes in?
who comes
This is a
out,
place that
right?
you can make yourself crazy
Right.
right now.
You've got contracts at your NHL level where you're paying some of these guys buco bucks. Who are you gonna pull out of the lineup to give these kids a chance right now when you've already
That's
made a commitment
exactly
to a
right.
certain number of players on your current roster?
Nope, that's exactly right. Now, I do want to, there's a couple guys really quick that we should bring. Well, I do want to mention Michael DiPietro.
Yes, the goalie. We've got to talk about the goalie.
AHL All-Star, top goalie in the AHL right now. And there's a lot of conversation online right now because Bussy is tearing it up right now for Carolina.
Unbelievable. And
So
everyone,
happy for him.
I know, I am happy for him too. I thought he was a solid goaltender. I think a lot of the conversation right now is crapping on the Bruins organization for basically letting him go for virtually nothing. But
Yeah, well, I'm sorry that we didn't get a trade for him. He was at the end of his contract, but I also think we should have gotten something for him. But
I agree with you.
Corpy, we've got it locked until 2028. And then DiPietro, this year, top AHL goalie. Last year, he was third in the league. We've got him under contract till the end of next season. He's played 21 games, has had one shutout. His GAA 1.74, save percentage 0.938. He's phenomenal.
See, now I think again, this is a good problem for the Bruins to have in the fact that okay, you're retooling, rebuilding. Jonas Korpisalo is still a serviceable goalie.
Yep.
He's indicated that he wants to play more, and you've got the flexibility of potentially being able to move Jonas, if not during the trade deadline this season. Most certainly, I would think that Jonas Korpisalo will be on the move to another team at the end of the 2025-2026 season.
And that's what we'll have to see. I mean, again, he's got the contract through the 27-28 season, so it depends what they could do with that. So, I sort of worry that we might be enjoying DiPietro from afar, but I'm hoping we're not.
Well, I mean, again, you can look at it in terms of that might be even a better selling point to someone who wants him because he's got a little bit of term left on his deal.
That's
I don't think he has a bad deal in the scheme of, goaltender salaries.
And as we already heard from Caroline, we've got Kavalin to come up and take his place for the P Bruins. So we're all set there.
Yeah, I think the Bruins have to some degree a little bit of an abundance of riches when it comes to goaltenders.
Which is great because that's how you win cups.
Oh, yeah, defense, and good goaltending. There is one other player I want to get your thoughts on because as I did my little kind of quick research ahead of our recording, a name that I haven't heard came up as under other noteworthy prospects, Cooper Simpson.
So Cooper Simpson, I actually really liked him. I did, if people go back to the Substack from earlier, like a month or two ago, I did mention him there. I did talk about him at Dev Camp. The thing is, he's still young. So I don't think we're going to be seeing him for a little bit. He was drafted this year in the third round. He's playing for USHL right now. He is committed to North Dakota for next year. So he hasn't even started his NCAA career yet. And so that's where, for him, he was second in points. This was back in the fall. Second in points at Youngstown, third in the USHL. He's tearing it up for sure. He's a great player. But I also think because he's getting ready for his freshman year, we're not going to see him just yet. He's somebody to keep in the pipeline. Cooper Simpson, Chris Pelosi, Jonathan Morello, Will Moore, and Beckett Hendrickson. Those are all names that I think are probably a couple more years out, but they're all names to kind of keep in the back of your head. Say, oh, I've had my eye on them for a while, and you'll be ahead of the curve. But Cooper Simpson in particular, he's having a great season.
So based on this and the information that you have shared with us, it's made me feel a little more at ease about the future and the development of these young players, which has been questionable. That's a nice way of putting it. Questionable.
Very professional, Maria.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Maribeth. But it's been a bone of contention where the Boston Bruins have been concerned in the past because there's questions about how are you identifying these players and why is their development appearing to be stagnant, and then it doesn't transition to the big boy club when we knew they were running at one point, whatever system was being run by the Boston Bruins, The coaching staff was running the same program, the same system down in Providence. So
Yeah.
this does make me feel better in that it seems to have the organizational shift is on the upswing.
It feels like it to me, and it may just be that I'm paying more attention now, but I just feel like we've got this pipeline of development now where again we've got people in a bunch of different places. Like you asked about Cooper Simpson, he's a couple years out, but yet he's in our pipeline. He's being developed and he's tearing it up. We've got a couple of guys in the next year or two where we could see them coming up really comfortably. We have a couple, and again, we're always going to have some that aren't going to pan out.
Right. No, and we've discussed and that, but that happens, right? For any variety of reasons. Yeah.
When do you move on? When do you decide that we're not the ones to develop? Now, again, Don Sweeney, a gift is bringing these guys in from other teams
Yes.
and helping them to shine. Well, at what point do we say, all right, you should go somewhere else to shine?
Correct.
And I think there's
Because
a
he
couple
seems
of
to be willing to let other teams do the development for him because sometimes they're not very good at that, right? And bringing those guys in that way. So I hate to do it this way, but in terms of kind of on the depth chart from top to bottom of the players that you just discussed, who do you, in your view, has the most upside, and then working our way down into it.
Well, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
Higgins and Zellers, without question. And we've seen them on the world stage, and that makes a huge difference. I think Lush Mellis, and I think it's going to be fun to watch him at the Olympics. He's so young, and it was so funny when they announced it. But their team is smaller, their group is smaller, but he's had that experience. So I think that those are ones. Obviously, Frederick Bernay. I do think that he is next up as far as when we're looking at Providence. But when we see him, we're going to see him. So I think that for me, that's where it goes. I think then we start to get into Yemelinov. We get into Letourneau. We get into these guys who maybe could come up now, or maybe they could still percolate and develop a little bit longer.
A little bit.
Again, Zellers, I'm not sure what they're going to do with him. They'll make that decision on it. I wouldn't hate it if he came up, but I also wouldn't hate it if he developed a little bit more. I do think Lascelles, we're getting to that do or die situation. I think Merkelov, they need to make some decisions on. So when we're looking at the depth chart as far as those go,
Yeah, I would throw Matt Patra in that.
and I think Patra is in there too. I think
Yeah.
signing him to another 2 years, I'm not going to hate it. Lascelles is also an RFA at the end of this year. So we're going to see some interesting things that come up. I'm hoping they sign Blamel, and extend his 1-year contract. I'm hoping we hear that sooner rather than later. But they may also be waiting on that because he's having a good run in Providence. So maybe they're going to put that off a little bit and just see how far he takes that. Or maybe he comes up sooner with injury.
Well, this does give, I would think, Don Sweeney, as a general manager, a good deal of flexibility and assets, depending on how he wants to build this team moving forward.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we've got a whole bunch of possibilities, which does beg the question of why are you bringing up Sweezy every other day?
This poor kid has been like a yo-yo in the last, what has it been, 48 hours?
Yeah,
or so,
he's coming up. Nope, going back to Providence. Yeah,
no, we're sending him back.
Yeah, back to Providence. So, and there's nothing that tells me he should be coming up. But I think, again, it comes back to Bernay, I think, is the better player. But Sweezy is able to come up. I felt the same way, though, about Aspro. I felt like Aspro was a placeholder when he came up. And look at how well he's done. He's been phenomenal.
Oh, yeah, you can't send him, you can't send him or his mustache
No,
back.
you cannot. We need the stash.
Back to Providence right now. I forget what the stat was in terms of the Bruins, like on, what their goals for and their goals against since he's come back in the lineup. But it's been pretty terrific. I mean,
It's been
we've got to
amazing.
give them.
But when he
give
first
them-
came up, I really just thought he was a good placeholder. He'd be decent. He wouldn't harm us. but I didn't expect him to bring so much extra to the table. He's really brought it up a notch. Maybe we'll see that from Sweezy if he actually gets on the ice.
Gets a chance.
But he's one that I my thought is he came up so the younger kids can continue their run.
Okay.
But I don't.
But he's taken full advantage of it, which is credit to him for making it difficult for coaching staff, management to make a decision about sending him back. You can't. I mean, you can't, because his play speaks for itself.
Yeah.
And his contribution speaks for itself.
Yeah, and I do want to see. I would like to see Riley Tufte is on a 1-year contract. I'd like to see if we could give him a shot. The kid could score. The kid, he's 27, but he's a UFA at the end of this season. I want them to give him a fair shot before he just walks.
Okay. No, that's fair. That's fair. We'll see. We'll see if that comes to fruition.
He's a left wing, so again, specific. And he's not that flag. He is a left wing.
Okay. Well, this has been, for me, I know I always feel so much more informed after we have you on the pod in terms of, the prospects and the rookies. So thank you so much for all of the information. And I know the research and how much time you spend keeping tabs on these young players for the benefit of our listeners. So I thank you very, very much.
Well, it is truly my pleasure. They really, particularly right now, they bring me so much joy.
Well, and it does make you feel good. It does make you feel good about the direction of the organization, where you could fall into the negativity spin, the constant negativity spin of the organization doesn't know how to draft players, they don't know how to develop players, and that was likely true to some degree in the past. But I think they're recognizing the errors of their ways, and I believe that is one of the major reasons that they brought Marco Sturm in.
I think so too.
As a coach.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I was really, as you know, I was excited when they brought him in because he is known for his player development. And that's really where we are in this retool of developing these younger players. And I'm hoping we're giving them a fair shot now.
Yeah. The first step is admitting that you're wrong. And the second step is taking steps to remedy that you don't do that again. So let's see where that takes us. Well, folks, thank you for listening. For more content, please subscribe. You can find us on pretty much any platform that you listen to podcasts. You find us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify. You can subscribe, leave us a rating and a review so other Bruins fans can find us. You can also support the podcast by joining our Patreon or following us on our socials. You can find us there at Tape to Tape MK and on Substack at tapetotapemk.substack.com. Any closing thoughts, Maribeth?
Just keep an eye on these kids. They are fun.
I am going to tune in. We'll have some quiet time during the Olympics, as there won't be any NHL hockey on. So I am going to make it a point to check in on these young players that you spent so much time giving us information on. So with that said, folks, go Bees!
Go Bees!